The Winchester rifle felt heavy in my hands as I aimed it at the Apache woman kneeling in the dirt of my ranch yard. My finger trembled on the trigger, rage and grief warring inside me as I looked down at her tear-streaked face. 3 days ago, Apache raiders had burned my neighbor's homestead, killing Tom Henderson and his 2 young sons. The territorial marshal had tracked the war party to this area, and now here she was, an Apache woman, alone on my property at dawn. "Please," she sobbed in broken English, her hands raised. "Please, no shoot. I not with raiders, I run from them. You're Apache." I spat, my voice raw. "Your people killed innocent children." "Not my people anymore," she cried desperately. "They kill my husband, take everything. I am widow, cast out. I have nowhere, nobody." I wanted to believe she was lying, that this was some trick. It would be easier to pull the trigger if I could just see her as the enemy. But something in her eyes, some deep well of genuine terror and grief, made me hesitate. She wore the black bands of mourning on her arms, and her clothes were torn and filthy, like she'd been traveling rough for days. "How do I know you're telling the truth?" I demanded, though I'd already lowered the rifle slightly. "My name is Ayanna," she said, speaking rapidly. "My husband was Naiche, warrior of Cochise band. He questioned chief about raiding white settlements. Say it bring only death to our people. They say he is traitor, coward. They kill him. Say I am cursed wife. Bring bad medicine. They cast me out 3 days ago. I walk, hide, starving. I see your house, think maybe you have food, work. I not know about raids here. Please believe." The timeline matched. The Henderson massacre had happened 3 days ago, and she looked like she'd been traveling that long. If her story was true, she was as much a victim as anyone. But could I trust her? "Even if I believe you," I said, "giving shelter to an Apache woman right now, with feelings running this high. The whole territory wants blood. The marshal, the ranchers, everyone. They'd hang you on sight. They might hang me just for helping you." "Then kill me," she said quietly, lowering her hands. "Better you than slow death in desert. Better quick bullet than days of thirst and hunger. I am already dead woman. My husband gone. My people gone. My baby." Her voice broke completely. "My baby die in winter. I have nothing left. If you show mercy, kill quick. If not, I be your servant, your slave, anything. Just let me live." The desperation in her voice cut through my anger. This wasn't a warrior or a raider. This was a broken woman who'd lost everything, just like I'd lost my wife 2 years ago to cholera. I understood that kind of emptiness. I lowered the rifle completely and let out a long breath. "Get up," I said. She looked at me with disbelief. You not kill me?" "I'm not a murderer," I said, though my voice was still hard. "But understand this. If you're lying, if this is some kind of trap, I won't hesitate. And if anyone finds you here, I might not be able to protect you." "I understand," she whispered, rising shakily to her feet. I gestured toward the barn. "There's a storage room in back where I keep grain. It's warm and dry. You can stay there, out of sight. I'll bring you food and water, but you don't come to the main house. You don't show yourself to anyone who might ride by. Understood?" She nodded frantically. Yes, I stay hidden. I cause no trouble. Thank you. Thank you." As I led her to the barn, I wondered if I was making the biggest mistake of my life. The territorial tensions were at a breaking point. One Apache woman, one wrong move, and it could all explode. But looking at her haunted eyes, I knew I couldn't just execute her in cold blood. Whatever else I wasn't that. I just had no idea that this decision would transform both our lives in ways I never imagined possible. For 2 weeks, Ayanna lived in my barn like a ghost. I brought her food twice a day, and she ate it gratefully, never asking for more than I offered. She kept the storage room immaculate, and I'd find small things done around the barn, repairs I'd been meaning to make, tools organized, the horses brushed and calm. She worked silently, trying to earn her keep without being asked. The problem was the outside world. The Henderson murders had inflamed the whole territory. Vigilante groups rode through regularly, looking for any Apache they could find. Twice, riders stopped at my ranch, asking if I'd seen any suspicious activity. Both times, my heart pounded as I lied, saying I'd seen nothing. Both times, Ayanna hid in a compartment beneath the grain storage that I'd shown her for emergencies. But it was Deputy Marshal Frank Coburn who caused the real crisis. He arrived on a hot afternoon with 3 men, all armed, all looking grim. "Garrett," he said, using my last name, "we're searching every property within 20 miles. There's reports of an Apache woman in the area, widow of one of the raiders, possibly scouting for another attack." My blood ran cold. "I haven't seen anyone. You mind if we look around?" I did mind, but refusing would only raise suspicion. "Go ahead, check whatever you need." They searched the house first, then headed toward the barn. I followed, trying to keep my expression neutral while my mind raced. Ayanna was in there. If they found her, they'd kill her on the spot, and I'd probably hang for harboring her. Coburn walked through the barn systematically, checking stalls, looking in the loft. One of his men kicked at the grain storage door. "What's in here?" "Just grain and supplies," I said, my mouth dry. "Open it." I had no choice. I unlocked the door, revealing sacks of grain, tools, equipment. No sign of Ayanna, but I knew she was there, in the hidden compartment beneath the floor. If they looked closely enough, if they moved the right sack. Coburn poked around for a moment, then turned away. "Seems clear. Sorry for the trouble, Garrett, but we need to find this woman before she leads more raiders back here." "I understand," I managed. After they rode away, I waited a full hour before going back to the storage room. I moved the grain sacks and opened the hidden compartment. Ayanna was curled inside, tears streaming down her face, shaking with silent terror. "They're gone," I said gently. "You're safe." She climbed out, and I saw she'd bitten her own hand to keep from making noise, drawing blood. "They want kill me," she whispered. "They think I am with raiders." "I know," I said. "Ayanna, this is getting too dangerous. If they come back with dogs, if they do a more thorough search." "You want me go?" she said flatly. "I understand. I leave tonight." That's not what I said. I ran my hand through my hair, thinking. But we can't keep doing this. Eventually someone will find you, and then we're both dead. "What else can I do?" she asked, spreading her hands helplessly. "I cannot go back to my people. I cannot stay here. I cannot go to town. Everywhere is death for me." An idea formed, crazy and desperate, but maybe the only option. "What if you weren't Apache?" She stared at me. "What you mean?" "What if you were my wife? A Mexican woman I'd married, or someone from back east. If you were openly here as my wife, people might talk, but they wouldn't search. You'd be under my protection. Legal. You won't marry me?" Her eyes were wide with shock. "Not really marry," I clarified quickly. "Just pretend. A marriage of convenience, for protection. You'd be safe, you'd have a legal identity. In exchange, you help run the ranch. Fair work for fair protection." She was quiet for a long moment, studying my face. "You do this, you become enemy of your people. They say you betray your race, marry Apache woman. They hate you. Some will," I admitted, "but some won't care. And it's better than you dying in hiding or me lying to every marshal who rides through." "Why you help me?" she asked softly. "You owe me nothing." "I am enemy." I thought about that. My wife died 2 years ago. Cholera. I watched her suffer, couldn't do anything to save her. When she was gone, I wanted to die too. I understand that kind of loss. I met her eyes. You're not my enemy, Ayanna. You're just someone trying to survive. If I can help with that, maybe it gives some meaning to all this. We rode into town 3 days later, and I could feel eyes on us immediately. Ayanna wore a simple dress I'd bought from the general store on a previous trip, and I'd coached her on the story. She was Maria Sandoval, a widow from a small settlement in New Mexico territory that had been destroyed by bandits. We'd met when I'd traveled south, married quickly, and now she was here to start a new life. The story was thin, but it was plausible enough. The real test came when we reached the courthouse to file the marriage certificate. The county clerk, old Harold Wilson, looked up from his desk and his eyes widened when he saw Ayanna. I could see him taking in her features, the slight differences that marked her as native rather than Mexican. "This the woman you're marrying?" he asked, his tone suspicious. "This is my wife," I corrected. "We married in New Mexico, just filing the papers here to make it official in Arizona territory." Harold looked between us, doubt written across his face. "She got papers proving who she is?" "Lost in the bandit attack that destroyed her settlement," I said smoothly. "Everything was burned. That's why I'm filing the certificate here, establishing her legal identity." "Convenient," Harold muttered. But territorial law was territorial law. If I swore to the facts, he had to file the papers. He did so with obvious reluctance, making us both sign while he witnessed. As we left, he called after us. "Garrett, you know people are gonna talk." "Let them talk," I replied without turning around. And talk they did. Within days, the whole territory seemed to know that Patrick Garrett had shown up with a mysterious dark-skinned wife who spoke broken English. Some bought the Mexican story. Others were convinced she was Apache. The responses ranged from cold shoulders at church to outright hostility. But the legal marriage certificate changed everything. Ayanna wasn't a fugitive anymore. She was a settler's wife, entitled to the same protections as any white woman, at least on paper. When Deputy Marshal Coburn rode by a week later, he tipped his hat to both of us, though his eyes were cold. The real change happened slowly in the day-to-day life of the ranch. Ayanna, now legally Maria Garrett, transformed my struggling homestead. She knew things about the land I'd never learned, where water could be found, which plants were edible, how to read weather signs. The vegetable garden she planted flourished. The horses responded to her gentle handling. The house, which had been just a place I slept, became a home. We maintained separate sleeping arrangements, her in the small spare room, me in the main bedroom. The marriage was still just a legal fiction, a protection. But spending every day together, working side by side, sharing meals and conversation, something shifted. I found myself looking forward to evening meals, when she'd tell me stories of her childhood, before the wars, before the loss. She taught me words in Apache, and I helped her improve her English. She laughed at my terrible attempts to cook using her methods, and I pretended to be offended while secretly enjoying her amusement. 3 months into our arrangement, raiders hit a ranch 15 miles south. Real raiders this time, confirmed Apache war party. The territorial militia formed up, and they came to my door demanding I join them. "I've got a ranch to run," I said. "Every able man needs to ride," the militia captain insisted, "unless you're too comfortable here with your squaw wife to fight her people." The insult was clear. I stepped forward, my hand moving toward my gun, but Ayanna's voice stopped me. "He is not coward," she said clearly, stepping into the doorway. "He is smart. You chase raiders into desert, you die. They know that land, you do know. You want stop raids? Protect settlements, stay close to home, not chase ghosts in places where ghosts have all advantage." The captain stared at her, surprised to hear tactical advice from a woman he'd dismissed as a squaw. "She's right," I added. You're playing their game, on their ground. That's how good men die. He rode off angry, but 3 days later, the militia returned, defeated and exhausted. They'd chased the raiders for 2 days, lost them in the canyons, and one man had been killed in an ambush. Exactly as Ayanna had predicted. After that, grudging respect replaced some of the hostility. People realized that having someone who understood Apache tactics might be valuable. A few ranchers even came asking Ayanna's advice on where to position guards, how to make their properties less vulnerable. She helped them, and slowly, painfully slowly, attitudes began to shift. The real turning point came 6 months after our marriage. Ayanna woke me in the middle of the night, her hand on my shoulder. "Patrick," she whispered urgently. "Someone is outside." I grabbed my rifle and moved to the window. In the moonlight, I could see 3 figures approaching the house, moving stealthily. Raiders? Vigilantes? I couldn't tell. Then Ayanna drew in a sharp breath. "That is Nantai, elder from my old band. They come to talk." My heart pounded as I opened the door, rifle ready. The 3 Apache men stopped at a respectful distance. The eldest spoke in Apache, and Ayanna translated. "He says they have watched me. They see I am alive, safe, married. They come to say, my husband's name is cleared. He was right to oppose more raids. Too many have died. They seek peace now. They ask if I am truly happy here, or if I am prisoner." "Tell him you're here by choice," I said. She spoke in Apache, a longer speech than just translating my words. When she finished, the elder nodded slowly, then said something that made tears stream down her face. "He says I am forgiven," she whispered. "I am welcome to return if I wish. But he also says if I choose to stay, they respect that. He calls you wise man who sees beyond skin to heart." After the Apache men left, Ayanna and I sat on the porch in the darkness. "You could go back," I said quietly. "You're free now. You don't need this pretend marriage for protection anymore." She was silent for a long moment. "Patrick, this marriage started as pretend. But for me, it stopped being pretend months ago." She turned to look at me,